speaking to us. Good evening once more, Maazi Ezeoke speaking to us. I hope we are all doing well. Welcome to my the Hangout with Maazi Ezeoke. So where are we? Everybody gather. Where is your drink? It's Friday. It's Friday. It's Friday. It's Friday. It's Friday. So let's gather here, everyone. Where are we all? Where are we? Are you guys leaving me alone today? This is sad. If you're leaving me alone today, this is indeed sad. I am feeling sad. Make me to smile. Bring the smile back on my face. Like the video. So I think, or have you, all of you gone to Oba? Oh, yes. Olaro Waju says everybody has gone to Oba. I didn't go to Oba. I should have gone to Oba. But the problem is that I don't have private jet to go to Oba. And I don't have G-Guard. Is it G-Guard they call it? Is it? I think G-Guard or G-Wagon, whatever they call it. I don't. Good evening, everyone. Oh, you still there, Oba? Yeah, I was on my way to Oba. But my Kekena Pep developed trouble. So you can see, I'm sweating everywhere. See, I'm sweating. So my Kekena Pep. And because of you guys, I had to go back. I had to come back. I had to come back just because of you guys. Greetings, everyone. Greetings, everyone. I can see many of you. You know, I'm going to make this evening hangout a very short one. We have another program coming up by 9 o'clock where we're going to discuss the electoral, the e-voting. You know, the e-voting. But before I do, I say, oh, the numbers we have now is quite unlike Friday. I ask again, where has everybody gone to? Where has everybody gone to? I need answers now. Okay, where has everybody? Hi, where has everybody gone to? Well, welcome once more. If you are joining me, my is still Maazi Ezeoke, and it will be nice, and it is gonna be my pleasure today. You're watching me from, as usual. That we know where you're watching me from. At least you know that I'm here. Now you can see my face. I want to know because I can't see your face, but at least I want to know where you're watching me from. Njoko, well done. Good evening. Gospel music, good evening. OC, good evening. You already started questioning. Allow me to land now. When it's a collective, when I say South Africa shames us, it's a collective. It shames all of us. Good evening, Harrison. Good evening. Lux 28 watching from New York, and Laura Waju is watching from Houston, Texas. Oba, Texas. Wow. Are you the Oba of Texas? Oba of Houston, Texas. Watching from London. Oh, yeah, because it matters. Okay, everything matters. Watching from South Africa. I just want to know if you guys in South Africa are okay. So quickly, I want to do the following. I think South Africa has really shamed us. You know, South Africa has really shamed us. I never expected, you know, at some point, I thought South Africa has outgrown some of the imperialistic suppression tendencies or syndromes that afflict many African nations. Maybe I was wrong. You know, why I say that South Africa shames us is that I thought for a while that South Africa has outgrown this mediocre behavior of tribalism, tribal affiliation, where a president who was accused of looting money, who was accused of, commingling state fund, and was called upon to come and defend it. He didn't. He didn't, thereby breaking the law. Now the court, another arm of government, not the executive, now sentences him to prison, and instead of him to go, he started hiding, or rather was indoor, to the point that his arrest was, granted. What I am insinuating is not that I am too surprised, but I thought that South Africa has gone beyond this barbaric nature of Africans. How wrong was I? Because if South African wasn't, you see, the manner of looting that happened in South Africa, it puts Nigerian NSAS palliative discovery, because I will never call it palliative looting. It is palliative discovery. It puts Nigerian NSAS palliative discovery to shame, in as much as in cities like Taraba and Adamawa and Jos, that people from taking their palliative, again, people did not loot their palliative. People took their palliative given to them, but the wicked politicians didn't want this to get to the people. So people went in, took what was rightful theirs, and like in Adamawa, they looted tractors. Imagine how gigantic and bogus tractors can be. But in Nigeria, we looted tractors as well. Tractors were looted, vandalized. But here is a South Africa. If you've ever been to South Africa, a country you can consider sits between second, I don't know if there is anything like second world or first world. A country you can say that they've gone out of third world country somehow in some level of argument, suddenly behaving in this form. And what triggered it? It's one of those things that still holds Africa down, tribalism. Tribalism. Imagine one of these politicians who steals from you, who, when he goes to Abuja, he sees about his family, he takes things for his own. Suddenly the state says, okay, you have questions to answer. And everybody says, we'll blow pipeline, we'll destroy the road, we'll go to ShopRite and we'll destroy everything. And we loot everything because of someone who invariably, by actions taken, is akin to raping you, not only raping you, but raping you without any form of protection. Because, yes, we can argue that it remains to be seen how and when he will be convicted or convicted. But be that as it may, I was really, really heartbroken. And as of this afternoon, story has it that 212 people have lost their life. 212 people have lost their life in the wanton destruction happening in South Africa. Even Nigeria was better. Because when people during NSAS discovered their palliatives in the various warehouses hidden, people didn't die. People broke. If you saw the one in Jos, I think the one in Jos was the epic of it. People were able to climb, even remove the roof. How they used their bare hand to remove such, because those who there were no wood there. Those were affixed to metals. So how they were able to remove them without any tools, that still remains a mystery to be studied. And South Africa is really taking this African problem of tribal affiliation to a different level. I think, you see, I don't, OCJ says, according to South African YouTuber ODs, the New World Order attempting to unseat President Ramaphosa. That one, a story. Waiting to tell, now waiting the day. That one, a conversation for the other room. Conversation for the other room. The New World Order told Jacob Zuma. I don't know if you guys have seen, Jacob Zuma's house. I'm not saying that he's guilty, neither am I saying that he's innocent. The same way we are in this country, the same man who looted, the same man by his action, his people died, and many things happened in the person of James Ibori. The same man received a hero welcome when he came back to his state. Have we forgotten? Have we? When I just opposed that there is no difference between what I see happening in South Africa and people like me, I said, better people when I form my hand. The same way I said, our people that came out in Owerri to welcome the former governor of Abia State when he was released from prison because of technicalities. And people went to Owerri, with drums, chanting. And I'm like, I was once in Isukwata sometime 2 years ago, and I drove that road and I said, these are where the monies could have fixed. If you have forgotten, by any chance, in case you have forgotten, watch this clip of James Ibori, just a couple of seconds. Watch this clip of James coming home a hero. Tell me if Africa would
Former Delta State strongman James Ibori, there waving to the crowd of supporters that thronged his country home in Ogara to welcome him. It was a triumphant entry for the Robo-born politician who established himself as a kingmaker and cheerful giver in Delta State before he went on exile and ended up imprisoned in the United Kingdom. The supporters that came out to welcome the former governor cut across ethnic divides in the state, and their presence could be felt.
Now, you can see a people there coming out to cheer up a man whom they should be frowning at, seriously frowning. That's the way, that's the best way I can describe it. I'm not given to violence, but I say they should be frowning for the things he has done to them by the virtue of the money he looted out of that state. By the virtue of the money he looted out of that state. But here we are. Let's watch this report from South Africa.
Take you to South Africa now, where the situation on the streets is reported to be calmer after President Ramaphosa ordered the deployment of 25,000 troops into the provinces of KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng to quell the worst rioting and looting the country has seen since the end of apartheid. 72 people have died and more than 1,700.
You see, when they talk about 72 people, that figure is no longer the same. The figure is gone.
Have been arrested since the jailing of former President Jacob Zuma on charges of contempt of court. Mobs have ransacked hundreds of shops and businesses in a wave of destruction, fueled by widespread anger over poverty, hardship, and financial inequality that the ruling ANC has failed to resolve after 30 years in power.
Highway of death, goal forward, that's what it looks like down here. If you carry on further down the road, the cars burnt out, wrecked cars in the road, they've looted everything, the factories are burning, warehouses are burning. The people are coming by their thousands to come and loot.
Well, let's cross over to South Africa now and speak to Arise Chorus.
You know, when I watch these videos, when I look at these things, I keep asking myself, if South Africans, if they finish looting all the shops, destroying, burning everything, doesn't our common sense tell us that the poorest of the poor, even the same poor people, will be the ones to suffer? For instance, there is no distribution now. The rich, nothing will happen to them. They will still get their direct supplies, nothing will happen. But the poorest of the poor will still suffer. So question is, I do understand that this is, you know, there is an element of this that is anchored on poverty. Because I think, was it El-Rufai that made an argument the other time that when you think about it, you see that, you know, no, it was, you know, when you look at it this way, whenever you see riot happen, riots don't happen in residential areas where people own properties, either outright buy or through mortgage. Riot happens where people rent apartments, where people rent houses, where people think, oh, they have no direct impact. It doesn't concern them. So you can destroy anything because it does not concern them. That's why you see when, you know, when such riot happen, you don't see people who can afford cars go destroy cars. No, you see people who cannot afford keke, they go destroy cars. And that's a clear case of poverty. In this case, sadly, that South Africa that ought to have moved away from the level of poverty is still being, you know, is still being kind of held down. And one would wonder, with the level of development in South Africa, just only four black presidents they have, and the country is speedily going down the drain. You know, it wasn't like this when Mandela was there, Thabo Mbeki, and Zuma, and here Ramaphosa. Obviously, Ramaphosa is, for me, is not. It's some, you know, some of you that argue that is, you know, the new world order doesn't want it. But bear in mind that Ramaphosa has been amongst the black imperialistic elite. You know, people like, just like people like Adenuga or Dangote, them coming into power. That's the way I look at it. You know, but in as much as there is abject poverty, but how on earth does one also justify the destruction and looting? Is it that their brains are not telling them that if we destroy our society, our environment, we are going to bear the brunt? Like people like me, the reason why I spoke up when the madness, I still remember, I still call it madness, that happened in the Southeast between February and maybe May, June, you know, and which infamously was called on gunmen men. Why people like me said, no, this is madness taken too far, is because of simple, you cannot destroy yourself to progress. You cannot destroy yourself to the next level. You cannot destroy yourself to prosperity. No. But sadly, South Africa appears to be at that place. South Africa appears to be at that place where, what happened? Sorry, this is my own share of drink I got from Alba. This one was given to me. So many of you, I hope you saw me. Those of you in Oba, I hope you saw me in Oba. My keke wasn't allowed to come too close. But be that as it may, when you look at South Africa, it's really breaks one's heart to see a lot of development.
Solisi Masango, who's monitoring events on the ground there. Solisi, thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight. Well, we do hear that the alleged instigator of unrest South Africa is in custody. What can you tell us about that?
Well, of course, the security cluster, or rather the minister in the presidency, came out a couple of hours ago to just touch base with the media on the government's efforts to try and curb or stop rather the unrest that we've seen in the country over the past few days. And they've come out to say that one of the 12 alleged suspects who are believed to be behind what has been termed a Zuma anarchy in the country has been arrested this hour. They did not, of course, give further details on who the person is, but went on to say that they are keeping a very close eye on the other 11 remaining suspects, and they're hoping to make arrests in the next coming days. And of course, just as we had expected that tensions would be calm by now and some areas would be calm, we're just getting reports right now. Literally just an hour ago, a market in Ispingo in KwaZulu-Natal, KZN, has been set alight. We're seeing people, they're jostling to get fire engines to get into the location to try and, of course, calm the flames down. And we've seen some people, they're panicking in KZN. So it seems like just where this whole unrest seemingly started in KZN, things are just going on and on. Just like some song on a piano, just when you think it's over, something just starts again.
As I went to a very good analogy there. We hear the situation, Lucy, is now calmer. Bring us up to speed. Is it just the 25,000 military people introduced that was responsible, or what and what?
So yesterday, the defense minister came out to say that she had written to the president of the country, Cyril Ramaphosa, to ask him for some more manpower on the ground. And she had said that she asked for 25,000 more SANDF members. Those members have hit the ground running this morning, and they were seen, of course, patrolling certain areas that were identified to be hotspots. Interesting.
Anyway, my point is that South Africa disappointed me. I put it that way. And South Africans, I thought South Africa could do better than what is currently happening. It's a shame, really. It's a shame. It's a shame. And I hear from the comment section that Igangan is on fire. I do not know. Before I get to the second part of this, because I must finish this by 9 o'clock, we need to start another program by Zoom, which is to discuss the e-voting that was, the e-voting that was discarded or somewhat not, not voted for in the Senate. But before I do, let me quickly go to Heritage TV and see if I can, see what is happening there. As I've been advised that there is trouble in Iganga. I don't know how true that is. I'll quickly, if you bear with me, I'll quickly go to Heritage TV. But again, you see,
tí ó wà lọ́dọ̀ tí wọn kó tó di bá àwọn òyìnbó wá ó tún yàtọ̀ sí tiwọn fún àpẹẹrẹ níbi lọ́dọ̀ tí wọn ní separation of power ní Aláàfin ní Ààrẹ Kakanfò ní check ara wọn láti wà use mọ́ ọ̀tọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ yàtọ̀ tí wọ́n use wọn pé tọ́ba ọba wúlò kan ṣígbà fún ṣùgbọ́n lọ́dọ̀ tí wọn ọ̀nà kan sàn án báyìí ni o gbogbo wọn láti comply ni so nǹkan tó fà á tí ó fi jẹ́ pé ní ọ̀dọ̀ wa bàtà agitation wa yìí náà bẹ̀rẹ̀ mo mọ̀ wípé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ nǹkan tó gbogbo nǹkan láti gbọ́ wọ́n fẹ́ gbé sórí social media tó sọ fún àwọn kan gbọ́ kán ṣe gbogbo wa kán ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀ síta ní òwò ṣùgbọ́n àwọn ní àjọ àyọgbọn ògùn gbẹgbọn àyàntẹ ògùn gbẹgbẹ ìtorí ẹ ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn ọmọ kí ló lè sọkọ báyìí kí ló lè àfi tí ìlọmọ gbà tán bá mọ plan náà báwọn àṣẹ lọgbẹ síta náà nìyí so wọn mọ bí tí wọn kàn rò pé Sunday Igboho bàtà wọn gbòòrò Sunday Igboho ń ṣe ẹlòmíì mo sọ láti sọ ẹlòmíì tó jókòó nù ó ti sọ ní Yorùbá nation is over wọn rò pé wẹ bí inú wọn ṣe pò tó wọn ṣe fọfún gbé mo tó ló jẹ kán máa sọ̀rọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ but tó bá jẹ́ pé àwa náà lọ ń fèdè ara síta tó yẹ pé wọ́n ti mọ ibi tá à ń lọ àti kó ara wa nìyẹn ṣùgbọ́n ìyẹn làwọn èèyàn wà ò mọ̀ tó yẹ pé wọ́n kàn máa ń gbogbo nǹkan pátá wọ́n fẹ́ ṣe ẹ̀ wọ́n lọ gbé ẹlòmíràn gbé rúmọ̀ but èlé gbọ́ àwọn pípọ̀ yìí.
I wish I understood. I wish I understood what they were saying. I heard Mother Batum. I thought he was saying they kicked the man from in the Brokos, and he said "Ma." That's how far my Yoruba could go. Something happened and somebody shouted "Ma." That's all I heard. Sadly, I don't know what they are talking about. So if you sorry, CEO saying that a video of children being beheaded live yesterday. That's not South Africa. That's the video you're talking about, people being beheaded in the bush. I think that is the Central African Republic. That's not South Africa, and that's not Nigeria. Okay, so if it's that same video, but it's a tragedy, I regretted watching the video day before yesterday. So it is so tragic, so tragic. So having said that, sadly for some of you rooting that I talk about the Inganga incident, I do not have much information, unless if you do, I may wish to bring you in just for a couple of minutes, but I do not have. If you're watching me from Ganga, or whichever one, you may wish to speak to me, then you can come in. Now, let me quickly go to the other topic, which is the Senate rejecting e-voting people. Now, this is very concerning, in as much as there is this clamor to avoid 2023 election. Now, but there must be, maybe governors in place. And even if you want, my argument is that we can avoid the presidential. But you see that the Nigerian system and the Nigerian leaders are not in any way, shape, or form interested in what is happening or in the well-being of the people. They all think about how to rig election already. How come you will vote against those things that will make it easier for elections to be transparent? And the worst of all is that many of those who did not vote and many of those who abstained from are Southerners. Yet, every slightest thing will say, Fulani is doing this, Fulani is doing that, Northern and this. Here you had an opportunity. You blew it. No senator from Anambra State voted. No senator. 3 of them. Awo. Abia State. Ojo Zokalo voted against. Theodore Mama. Awo. Only Senator Nyennia Bariba voted that e-voting should be implemented. Lagos, Tinubu's wife voted against. So much about legacy, isn't it? Let's watch this report, because these are things that you ask yourself, I keep saying it here. If we begin to deal and tackle ourselves and tell ourselves the truth, it will reduce the over-concentration of what we ascribe to the Fulanese and what we ascribe to the Northerners, that the powers that they do actually not have, because we fail to do the needful that we ought to do for ourselves. Why is it that many of them were the ones voting against it? Because it shall give them the opportunity to do the rigging. But when it comes to the one you could actually do for yourself, sadly, you're not also able to do that. E-voting. Watch this report.
We begin this morning with the Senate's rejection of electronic transmission of election results in the Electoral Amendment Bill. In a clause-by-clause vote on the bill, 52 senators voted against, 28 were in support, 28 other senators were...
Now, 52 senators voted yes. 52, 5-2, out of 109, 5-2 voted yes. People who abstained, 28, right? And 0 people who are absent and 0 abstinence. Now, if you add the 28 that says yes and add the 28 that abstained, you would have had 56 and you would have beat those 52. Question is, who are those who did not vote? The same people that will come and be talking about
unavailable to vote.
The Commission may consider electronic transmission of results provided the national coverage is adjudged to be adequate and secure by the National Communication Commission, NCC, and approved by the National Assembly.
Mr. President, I still insist. We want Nigerians to know who has voted or not.
You see, when the man who stands for the truth told them, we want to know who voted, if not for the insistence, we probably wouldn't know. Samuel Oyadebe, thank you for the super chat. My heart off for adequate information. Thank you very much. I remove my heart for you as well. Thank you for the super chat. The first super chat for the day. You have paid your tithe. So, but on a serious note, if you look at this, you know, this will make you sick. Honestly. What?
Challenging the ruling I gave on the amendment sought by Senator Maazi Ezeoke. The amendment he sought was defeated. Now we have come to this point that we'll have to count ourselves. Those who voted against it, just hold on, let me finish explaining. Those who voted against it will remain on this side. Those who voted for it should remain on this side.
Where and when do means at least when the network was coverage in Nigeria.
No. Look at the kind of grammar a senator is speaking.
Has improved to maybe 90-95% or even more, then we can do electronic transmission. That's clearly what he said. Nothing, and the only way you can certify that is when an official body that can give you the coverage that are eligible to give them, like NCC, they'll give you the exact coverage. But for now, it's less than 50%, and we cannot be able to do transmission now.
I wish I understood what he said. If you can translate for me, please do. Because Masa says, I thought e-voting was a way of combating election fraud. Welcome to Nigeria, where nothing makes sense. So you think for 1 second that they are interested in making electoral fraud a thing of the past. Probably we are naive to think that. But by their actions, because these are things that were voted line by line on this particular issue where we say it was used in Edo, it worked. It was used in Edo, it worked. from the polling unit, because where most of these things happen is from the polling unit to the collation center. Suddenly, professors of mathematics can no longer add 1,300 plus 1,300. Some of them will say, on the light, on the light. They will bring the light. Oh, no. Some people will donate torchlight. Some people will donate lantern. Some people will donate powered by power bank. Yet a professor of mathematics suddenly will become deaf and dumb and an idiot. If you guys watched in 2015, the professor that announced the River State election, in fact, I don't know if his generation would ever forgive him that. Suddenly, a professor can no longer read English. He can no longer read. A professor, while he was reading, he was sweating. And I was asking myself now, wow, even when I conditioned the idea, how much did they pay that professor to have done such silly thing? And people, you think you could make progress, they like to be, dragging themselves backwards, a backward people. Nah, man. Okay, Hakim, I would improve my listening skills because I didn't understand what it is. So let me see if I can.
So I have not voted against my bill. I have only voted on the enhancement of my bill.
Hakim, can you explain? You said I am only voted. Sorry, but okay. Let me listen.
We have to define when and where practicable, because you cannot do elections in areas where there is network, or refuse to do transmission where there is no network, because they have to be uniform. So when the coverage improves, then we have confidence that transmission or results can be done nationwide. We are trying to make sure there is check and balances in all the process, and there is transparency and accountability. Why we say transparency? Because when INEC said is ready to do electronic transmission, then the NCC will give us, do they have that coverage? Do you have that coverage all over the country? If they're certified, then we don't allow INEC and NCC to agree on themselves. Let it be brought back to the National Assembly and we pass a vote of support on that.
Some data have shown that we have only 43% coverage. And this is one of the reasons why National Assembly approved for Ministry of Communication another foreign loan for the laying of fiber optic across this country.
See how they are exposing themselves. Ab initio, 43%. They knew there weren't enough coverage. Somebody came to them and said, approve this loan. We will use it to lay fiber optic cables in order to allow every region of Nigeria to have access to faster internet. Pantami, sometime last year, said that Nigeria has gone over 67% total coverage. By now, we should be looking at maybe 90, 85 or thereabout. There is no way by 2023 you should not be looking about 98 to 99% coverage. That's if you're serious. If you do not pass, if this, this bill does not get to be included in part of the electoral reform, that is the e-voting, then we can as well go back and say that money that was approved, can we have our money back or can we get a change? Because that's what it is. That's what it is. Because sometimes, the way these things, honestly, I just want to pick on all these things because at the end of the day, what we have to do is that we need to get ourselves educated and informed enough to actually begin to demand. Again, there is no way I would blame any Northerner. This is not about Fulani. No, this is about we ourselves being because where there is the will. But I think every one of them probably is invariably hoping to get himself or herself rigged into office. Hence, the reason and why we are here. And in the words of Professor Sibanjo, he will say, that is where we are.
From statistics, by 2023, we will only have about 55% coverage. So
okay, that's not true. Pantami told us we already had 67. That was on his Twitter handle. I can probably go back and check that figures again. But the figure is much higher than what you're quoting us. And if we're a serious nation, we can make it happen.
Many local government headquarters in Nigeria do not have internet. But what we have done is that we approved electronic voting. We approved transmission only where INEC feels satisfied that the whole country will be covered.
It's impossible. C'est impossible. It's either you do it. Remember when election was done, and they said, where necessary, where possible, use card reader. Everybody discarded card reader and started using incident form. You think Imo State result that was written in the hotel room, you think how did they emerge? Because everybody discarded it and started doing their thing. I don't know why. So I'm kind of pissed off that I don't have enough time to do, but when I get into the conference, so many of you join me now, please stay tuned. I'll be logging off in the next couple of minutes and I'll join that Zoom conference. The Zoom conference is going to center around this same e-voting. Because this is something that we need to understand, that we're going to demand that things are done differently or things be done differently.
And everybody accepted it, but because our other opponents want to play politics with it to make Nigerians believe that, oh, they are the only ones that want. I brought this technology. I introduced this technology by a way of proposal to INEC, and they accepted it.
If I have to go home, I use Turaya. Now, I have Turaya in my house. So if I'm going to my village, I'll charge my Turaya so that I'll keep on communicating. So you are telling me, as a representative of the people, to support the idea that we should do. It's just like saying you should support the idea that my people should be defranchised. And that is not why I'm here.
There was no victor, no vanquished in this affair. Everyone did what he or she did with full commitment and realization that what we want is one and the same thing, but the path we have taken are different. We want an electronic process transmission system for our electoral process. However, we want to ensure that no Nigerian is disenfranchised in this process.
Over to you, your comments on this.
Well, we're going to be discussing this at great length with our guests, but what comes to mind is that apocryphal Joseph Stalin quote that it must be seen that elections happened, but it's not the voters who decide the election, it's those who count the votes that decide the election. That's what I'm thinking about here, because I don't understand this urge to continue to suppress transparency across the board, not just in elections, which is a basic tenet of democracy. It's really most disappointing. When we look at the Constitution as well, it's quite clear. The independence, I must stress, National Executive Council is charged with our election. That's our electoral umpire. It's Section 78. So trying to usurp the power.
Thank you very much, thank you very much, everyone. I will be joining the other meeting now. And stay tuned because we'll be streaming the meeting now. So please do not log off. Yvonne Nwabu, thank you very much for your super chat. And you said if there is hope for Nigeria, that the nation is finished, you think if the North succeed in 2023, let me tell you honestly, I want the North to take the presidency in 2023 so that every other Southerner would eventually receive sense for us to probably get to that point where we could begin to hold our drawers and our trousers and say the fight is now finished. Thank you very much. Let me join the meeting. You can hear the noise at the background there. Thank you. Just quickly join us now. I will start the streaming of that meeting. Thank you.
Trying to, link you guys up.